If you would like to hear a 6-month projection from July until December 2017, please go to my Vimeo On Demand page. The link is included in the More Info section. Thank you. Hello everybody, thank you so much for coming back. And for those of you who are new, welcome to my channel, and I hope you find something interesting here as time goes on. I am Joanna, the medium. I'm also an intuitive coach, and this month, the month of August, I decided, or I was prompted, to do a mid-month reading. I've never done that before, and it was just very clear to me that I needed to do it. I was actually asked by Spirit to do this, particularly because we have a lot of eclipses in this month of August, and particularly the one on the 7th, I believe, and the one on the 21st are quite substantial. I think the one on the 21st has not happened for at least 100 years, and it will not happen again, most likely in our lifetime, if I'm correct. I'm not an astrologer, so I'm just going on information that I heard. But because of the significance of these eclipses, I was asked to do a reading and see how the eclipses will affect us collectively. And so that will be the beginning, the first portion of the message, and then the latter part will be broken down to each individual sign, where I will give each individual sign a message that Spirit wants to give us pertaining to the month of August and how the eclipses will affect us. There will be time stamped, so if you want to go down under more information, you can just move forward or fast forward to your individual sign. And of course, I also encourage you to listen to your rising sign and your moon sign, because that tends to offer a greater picture with regards to a message. Always remember that these are general messages. They will not apply to everyone, and that is why I do private sessions. And if you would like one of those, I would be honored, and that information is down below. So without further ado, let me just start off with some channeled information that I received for us collectively as a whole. So one of the things that I kept seeing very clearly is the World card. When I see this in my mind, and that card actually came up, which is interesting, and I love when that happens. When I see the World card, and by the way, for those of you who don't know me, I don't read cards traditional way. I've never learned. It's not one of my gifts. So when I see a certain card, I will get my own information based on what Spirit wants me to say to you. Some of it may be based on the traditional meaning of the card, but a lot of it isn't. So if you see me showing a certain card and it does not resonate with what you know it to be, that's why I don't read cards the way normally readers do. So as I was saying, the card represents to me completion. Yes, for many of you, this would be a card of travel, but I am feeling more, this is a time where many of us come to a point of completion. Now, a lot of these completions are being shown to me as being happy completions. Sometimes completions signify endings, actually often signify endings, but endings don't necessarily have to be bad. When I'm seeing the aspect of completion, it is also showing me that many of us are becoming, or are in the process of becoming, much more empowered individuals. This is affecting all the chakras, but particularly the third chakra, which is the solar plexus, which is where our inner power resides. So a lot of us will be experiencing completions, and as a result of shedding old stuff that we no longer need, we will expand, and we will start to feel much more empowered, much more enthusiastic about what is coming up for us. For some of you, there is a component of learning something new, learning a new skill, learning a new craft. I am seeing someone doing handiwork. So for some of you, you might be completing a certain career aspect in your life, or you might be completing the way you do things, and you might be moving on to something different. So I'm trying to keep this very general, and then I will go forward with the individual signs, which are a little bit more specific. The other thing I kept hearing was starting projects we have been putting off for quite some time. So for those of us who have been sitting on our butts and, procrastinating, I feel there is a wave of energy that will push us forward in order to start moving with projects that we have been thinking about, sitting on, procrastinating. That is being shown to me very clearly. I also saw that many of us are looking at brand new horizons. So what I mean by this is many of us will feel like we want to venture into new territories. This could be venturing into new careers, venturing into new relationships, venturing into something new in your life. It could be venturing into a new town, even a new country, a different country. But the image I have is looking at the horizon, and it's a wide open space, and basically the feeling I have is we are free to choose which way we want to go. There is no obstacles in front of me. Everything is clear, and the energy is very much ready and ripe to start creating. So many of you are going to start new and start fresh in various aspects of your life. Completion starting. Yes, I also keep seeing Ace of Wands in my mind, which of course represents to me, and probably for the traditional reader, brand new beginning when it comes to creativity. It often can be related to job. It can be related to it is related to passion. It's our spirit, but it can also be related to brand new relationships. Now, it can signify romantic relationships, but not necessarily. It can also signify forming new relationships that are divinely guided, and that's the divinely guided is being underlined for me. The world travel, I kept hearing when I kept seeing the world, I kept hearing travel, and I also heard destination weddings. So some of you may be in a process of planning a destination wedding, or there are some of you who will be having a destination wedding, whether it is something that you are aware of right now or something that will come to you over the next few months. I don't think it's years, over the next few months. Destination wedding is what I heard very clearly. And of course, that will not apply to all of you. Certainly, it will apply only to some of you. I also felt and saw that many of us are releasing ourselves from a mental prison. And the image I had was very clear, where we are standing in a prison cell and we are pulling the bars apart and we are walking through releasing ourselves. I saw butterflies coming out of my chest, which signifies the same thing to me: release, rebirth. Many of us are in the process of breaking old patterns and habits. Some of these habits, I'm seeing smoking, so some of these habits are health related. Some of these habits will be emotional or mental. I hear my guides saying too many clothes. So some of us will be cleaning out the house, letting go of things that no longer serve us, both physically and emotionally and mentally. And for some of you, you have too many clothes or too many shoes and you need to get rid of it because it's collecting dust. So that is the message that I got as a channeled message. Actually, there's one more. Many of us are in the process of putting forth brand new foundations that will serve us forward, or solidifying foundations that we started to build earlier this year or last year. The foundations that I'm talking about are structures in your life. For some of you, this could be a physical structure where you will be building an actual house. But for most of us, this is about putting structures, putting parameters, schedules, making our life in a way that will allow us to move forward, having flexibility, yes, but I'm seeing this as a building that is has beams being put on it in order to solidify the structure. Strong. So thank you. So many of us are solidifying structures or building structures that are stronger moving forward. Jobs, relationships, health related. Again, this is a general message. So that was shown to me very clearly. Then I got cards, and I was going to do 2 cards, but well, 5 came out, so I'm sticking with that. And I have them separated kind of in 2 different piles. The first card you have is the Three of Pentacles. This is, well, the card says recognition and reward. This is hard work being paid, or you being paid for hard work, you being finally recognized. For some of you, it's long overdue. For many of you, this is being recognized in a formal way. So this could be a recognition in a work environment, perhaps, where you receive some kind of distinction. For some of you, I hear the word diploma. You might be graduating, which would be finishing and also starting something new. So there is, again, that level of completion. Building long-lasting relationships and forming friendships and alliances is being shown to me as well. So that is also, a brand new beginning. Now, the number 3 to me represents expansion. It is a very nurturing number. So many of us are moving forward in a much more expanded way. The other card that came up was the throat chakra, and this card came right after this card. So what this is showing me is that many of you are choosing to express yourself with much more freedom, much more confidence, and we did talk about becoming much more empowered. You are choosing to expand in the way you create, but also, which is also expression, but also the way you vocalize. This, for some of you, they're saying to me, it may come as a surprise. So for those of you who are shy, you may find yourself becoming much more okay with being vulnerable and speaking up in places or in situations where formerly you would have been more of a wallflower. For some of you, I'm being asked to say you may have outbursts of anger, and part of it is as you let go of things that no longer serve you, some of these underlying emotions that have been suppressed will come up to surface in order to be released. So that for some of you, just you might get a little bit more perturbed, a little bit more often than you're used to. So just they're saying be mindful what you say. Just know that in the back of your mind that you might get triggered in the next upcoming few months. And then the World card actually came up, which is what I was seeing in my mind before I even shuffled the cards. So again, this is a double message. This is a strong message. Completions, travel for some of you, destinations, wedding destinations. This is a very good card. Whenever I see this card, it is quite, I want to say it's a happy ending. This is the last card of the major arcana. So we start with the Fool, we end with the universe or the world, and we've gone through all the steps in the middle or in between, and we are ready to start new. So I believe this August 7th eclipse was about bringing people something in, and the 21st is about letting go. Please, I'm actually not sure, but I know one is eclipse and one is a lunar eclipse and one is solar eclipse. One is endings and one is beginnings. So after completion, we start new again. So the message that I was talking about earlier, the channeled message about starting new, starting fresh, expanding, starting projects that we have been putting off for a long time, certainly comes with the completion card. The other thing that I saw or that I see is the Justice card or balance in this particular deck. and it's in reverse. So the way I felt this came to me, the message I got is that many of you are going to finally release yourself from being imprisoned, from being put in a situation where you feel unjust, where you feel, actually for some of you, like you don't matter. So a lot of it has to do with detachment of the old. This in a reverse position can signify lack of accountability or dishonesty. So maybe some of you are releasing yourself from an environment that you felt is less than ideal for you. Maybe you have been in a relationship where you have been treated unfairly. So in this way, it tells me that you're putting an end to an unjust situation that happened in your life. The other card I got was New Beginnings, or the Ace of Swords in reverse. But again, the way the card was shown to me, the way it came like this, it is saying to me completion of having no direction. Okay, so which is consistent with what I was seeing earlier: starting new, starting fresh, moving forward with things we have put on hold. So we are completing these aspects of ourselves, and we are letting go of being stuck, letting go of being in situations that are not in our best interest, releasing ourselves from certain imprisonments, whether it is relationship, work, the way we think, the way we feel, the way we believe. There's a lot of completions and letting go. And I think, and for many of you, this will be in a relationship, because I'm being shown the heart for love. So that is the general message. Let me just see if there's, okay, I'm being asked to say to please be patient with yourselves, with ourselves, over the next few months, because apparently the energies can feel at times very restrictive. What does that mean? Some of the old habits may come back to surface, and I hear in my mind, I can't do this, it'll never work. The old things that we tell ourselves may come up to surface and may be amplified for a little while before it is completely released. It's a bit like a volcano that bubbles up, and then once it blows up and it releases, the calm is peace comes after. You know what I'm trying to say. So for those of you, and again, anger, for those of you who have had tendencies to suppress emotions, or you have had tendencies in the past to have more of a negative thinking pattern, some of that may be amplified over the next few weeks as a result of these emotions being pushed up to surface. When that happens, I'm hearing just hold on tight, know that it will pass. It may not feel comfortable while you're going through it. It may feel like you're taking 10 steps back when you thought you were taking 10 steps forward. It's not that you're taking 10 steps back. It's just, thank you. He's saying to me, it's like a reset. Sometimes you have to step back a step in order to take a huge leap forward, and that is what is going to happen, and that is what is happening. And energetically, I'm being asked to say that many of you will feel a physical shift. There will be a wave of either information that comes to you, a wave of clarity. The other day when I was at the gym, I was sitting doing weights, and all of a sudden I had this clarity. It's like this shift just came through me, and all of a sudden I was seeing everything so much clearer. The room became bigger and wider, and it's like my vision was amplified 100 times. And I had to keep looking because it was phenomenal, but it was kind of interesting. So many of you may actually feel this shift happening. And I think that's all I have. So let's now move on with each individual sign. And if you would like to just fast forward to your sign, just look at the timestamp so you don't have to listen to all of them. And I'll see you in just a second. Okay, Aries, let's see what we have for you for the month of, I almost said October, for the month of August or middle of August. When I was shuffling cards and asking for information about you, I kept seeing the number 5, which is changes, but also the word of transitions. So some of you will feel like you are going through an emotional shift, which doesn't surprise me considering the message we had earlier regarding the energy changes that are happening in the month of August. The transition is one of physical, job related, but also an emotional. So for some of you, you might be looking at the prospect of changing your current circumstances as it pertains to your physical way of being. So this could be relationship, this could be job, career, this could be living situation where you live, or the type of people you hang around with. Then I shuffled the card, and the first card that came up was the 4 of Cups, which in this deck, this signifies discontent and boredom. Now, this person looking the view is beautiful. There's a castle there, represents prosperity, represents stability, but the person is not choosing not to look at it this way. The person is choosing to turn away from this beautiful view that is bright and magnificent, and this person is choosing to look at the floor that is pretty dark and pretty blah. So what this is saying to me is that many of you are in a situation where you are either choosing to remain stuck, or you are not wanting to look at something better, or not wanting to take a leap of faith in order to create something better. So in the month of August, and I feel that this energy is going to stay with you for quite some time, at least for the next, I want to say 3 to 4 months. Now remember, the eclipses, one of the major eclipses is eclipsing things that no longer serve us. And I hear the word job. So for many of you, you might be bored because in your career, you might be bored in your job. 4 is the number of foundations, which tells me that whatever the boredom comes from, it is from something that serves as foundation for you. Relationships are foundation, work is foundation, because of sustenance, and nutrition and diet, health is foundation. So those are, and obviously spiritual being is foundation too. So some of you may be looking at transitioning from a career or a job to a different career or to a different job. For some of you, this might be transitioning into a different place of work, which is similar to what I said. Bottom line is, I feel some of you will experience this boredom, okay? The message here is, look for the bright aspects in your life. And it feels to me like for those who this connects with, you may have a tendency to look at the glass half empty versus half full, and you want to turn that around. The next card you have, again, is material and spiritual prosperity, which is the 6 of Pentacles, but it's in reverse. So this is signifying to me that something in your physical life is is making you feel quite dissatisfied. This can be work, career, this can be marriage, relationship, this can be anything that makes you feel solid and rooted and grounded in this earth. And you know, those two cards go hand in hand. If you are emotionally not happy, you will not find happiness in your physical world, because your physical world is a manifestation of your emotional well-being. So I feel like in the month of August and the next following few months, all these feelings will be amplified. And what they're saying here is things are being uprooted in order for you to decide what you want to do and where you want to go. The next card you have is from a different deck. It's from a Ganesha deck. I love this card. This card says understanding. What this is about is looking at situations and life from a deeper or bigger perspective. That doesn't mean that you are narrow-minded or shallow. It simply means that look at your current circumstances through the eyes of your spirit or the eyes of your soul, rather than just through the eyes of the human being with the ego that is often very scared. So again, the word transition comes up. You are going through a transition period. I am pretty sure that's going to be the case for many of you. But as you go through the transition, if you feel uprooted, if you feel unjust, if you feel things have been done unfairly to you, you are being asked to look at this from a greater perspective, from the point of view in your spiritual eye, and ask yourself, how is this situation serving me from the point of view of a gift? Meaning, how is this benefiting me in the greater scheme of things, in a greater picture? Example is given. Let's say some of you are transitioning from work because your work is not enjoyable, or you are being let go, or the work is changing and it doesn't have, you're not the one who wanted the change. This can signify that the universe is saying, listen, you've been at this for quite some time. It isn't serving you, and you know it. You're refusing to do anything about it. So in order for you to stop your suffering, we're going to do this for you. We'll pull the plug. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be quick, and then you will have to make a different choice and make different decisions for yourself. So sometimes things are taken away from us because they don't serve us, and we're just too afraid to let it go. So I'm not saying you guys are going to lose your jobs. That's not what I'm saying. But there's definitely a feeling of boredom and discontent, and many of you are not happy in your physical world. So you need to look at your circumstances and ask yourself, how am I contributing to it? Is my belief system, is my thinking creating my unhappy circumstances? Not from the point of view of blame, but from the point of view of knowing that you are a powerhouse that creates every single day, whether you know it or not. So if you can create this scenario, you can clearly create another scenario. But your belief system and your thinking will have to change. So that's what I have. Number 8 was shown to me, and then it flipped on its side, which tells me many of you are feeling powerless, are feeling lack of power, are feeling sense of lack of control. There seems to be that kind of hovering around you. Again, I feel that it's a transition. You are in transitions, and change is what I said at the very beginning, is upon you. The message I hear is always think of the best case scenario versus the worst case scenario. And as human beings, many of us, I think most of us, tend to go towards the worst case scenario. So I hope that was helpful. Now let's move on to the next sign of Taurus. Okay, Taurus, let's see what we have for you. When I was shuffling cards, the 2 cards literally torpedoed out from the deck. The first card is the crown chakra in reverse. The second card is the throat chakra. So the moment I looked at it, I thought, okay, why is that? Some of you may feel a sense of confusion in the next 2 or 3 weeks. This is a direct result of a change or a transformation or a transition that we are going through. It's not a time to act. It is more a time to be still and be patient before proceeding forward with something substantial. So over the next 2 to 3 weeks, and I am recording this on 11th of August, be patient with regards to progress around your work or around your career. The next card is the throat chakra, which is all about expression. So some of you may feel confusion around the way you express your creativity, the way you express yourself. You might be feeling undecisive with regards to what do I do next with my career? Where do I go next with my career? How do I choose to express myself and my individuality? For some of you, this is also a card of a bit of a warning to say, and I actually have another card that kind of confirms this, be very thoughtful when you choose your words, or be very mindful when you choose your words, as over the next few weeks you don't want to come across as being harsh or edgy. There's a lot of fire element with many of you. I have a lot of fire. I'm next to Aries. So some of you may find that you want to express anger. Okay, and that came up, I think, in the channeled message, if I remember correctly. So just be kind with your words and be candid. If you need to say something constructive, or something that is if you need to say something that's a criticism, always consider your choices of words, because words, depending on what word you use, you can accomplish the same goal, but using different words may have a different outcome, and some of those words can be detrimental to whoever you're speaking with. So, or to. That was, I feel like some of you just want to be flippant with what you say. So that, just watch for that over the next few weeks. The next card you have is emotional withdrawal, or 8 of Cups in reverse. This card also can signify hopelessness. So this is, I feel like some of you, watch out for feeling sorry for yourself, is what I want to say. Why? Because I feel like you are in a time of transition, like we all are. And I'm being shown the symbol of transformation. You are still in a process of transformation, and you may not have all the information available to you in order for you to start something new or start something fresh. So if you are feeling a bit lost, if you are feeling a bit confused, if you are feeling like you don't know whether you're coming or going, watch out for the poor me attitude. And this card may not represent that message for the traditional tarot reader, but please keep in mind, I don't read cards specific way. The traditional way, I'm basically told what to say based on what I see. Again, a lot of this has to do with you building new structures. So many of you are starting new structures. 4 is a number of foundation. This tall mountain represents a challenge. However, looking at the person's body, he has the strength, the stamina, and certainly the body to be able to climb that mountain if necessary. So I feel like many of you are in this moment of stuckness a little bit. There's a feeling of wanting to do something. There's a feeling of having left something or being in the process of leaving something, but at the same time you may not know what the new thing is yet, so you're kind of feeling apprehensive because you feel like you can't move. So that is what I feel for some of you. Then I have a different deck. Two cards popped out. The first card is Be Candid. So this is all about expression. This is all about the throat chakra again. That's a double message. This is about being able to express yourself fully and honestly, and also not being afraid to speak up for yourself. This is also a card that says be mindful of the way you choose to speak to others. There's an element of criticism again. So what I'm going to say is here, make sure that you don't say things to others that are too critical or that feel like you are putting them down. I feel that many of you have a lot of energy, and it's a lot of strong energy, and your words can sometimes be very prickly or very sharp. So be mindful of the way you express yourself and the way you express yourself to others. Always look at the bigger picture. Is what I'm trying to convey going to ultimately help the individual, the collective, or is it going to hurt the other person but make me feel better? Because you certainly don't want to go with the latter. You want to make sure that even if you have a constructive criticism, make sure it is constructive first and foremost, and it doesn't hurt the other person. The next card you have is the card of understanding, which is what Aries just had, and I shuffled the cards for quite a bit of time, and they both actually came up together. So this is about seeing things from a different perspective, looking at your world with the eyes of a spirit rather than the eyes of the ego. Don't be afraid to go into uncharted territory. I don't know what that means. That's going to mean something for some of you. I also see some of you picking up a book from the bookshelf, which tells me some of you are going to be learning something. You literally may be picking up a book you have had on your bookshelf for quite some time, and you will be learning something new. So the book to me signifies taking up either a hobby or some educational component, even self-teaching, that you have thought about before or that you have had put on the back burner some time ago, and now it's the right time to do this. So this would also be very connected to expression. When we learn something new, we always express that at some point to the world. Again, I'm seeing the number 5, and I'm also seeing the number 7. With the number 5, it changes. So again, you are in the process of change. I think we've established that. You do have the card here. Oh, and there's a 7. But I'm actually seeing the Chariot card, and I feel like this fall is going to be a busy time for you. So if you are in a space where there is not a lot of movement with your work or with your career or with your relationship, if you're feeling kind of blah, know that it won't last forever. And in actuality, consider this as a bit of a break before the next phase of your life starts, because I feel you're going to be very busy. So that's what I have. Now I'm also hearing that things are being eclipsed out from your life, or they're being removed from your life, which could be old conditioning, it could be old belief systems, it could be the way you relate to yourself and therefore the way you relate to the world. and other people. So as you go through this transition, it's probably not a best time to start something new. So consider this a bit of a break, and know that it won't last excuse me, forever. True. Okay, now let's move on to the next sign of Gemini. Hello, sign of Gemini. I have first card popped up for you is Ace of Wands in reverse. The second card is Five of Wands, which is challenges, overcoming challenges. This feels to me very much career oriented. And for those of you who are dealing with projects, work, or career matters, I feel like that over the next few weeks, could be as long as a couple of months, and I'm recording this on the 11th of August, you may be faced with dealing with some circumstances regarding your career. I hear the word delays. You may be, for some of you, it could be as simple as delays around getting money, raising money, getting a bonus, getting a substantial raise, anything that is financially connected. I feel that you, over the next few weeks and couple of months, you will be dealing with matters of work. The card of challenges and obstacles suggests to me that some of you are walking on a path to self-fulfillment, whatever that means for you, excuse me, but you are finding that the road you have undertaken or the path you have undertaken is proving to be a difficult one. So, I mean, this message can look in a physical way, gazillion different ways. I'm not going to interpret because I think it would be too much. For those of you who are meant to hear it, you'll hear it and you'll understand it. But I feel like many of you are dealing with obstacles on your journey. And for some of you, this could be spiritual journey. For some of you, this is career. For some of you, this may be around relationships where you are needing to deal with a relationship that's coming to an end, or a relationship that didn't quite pan out the way you wanted to. Now, when I was meditating on you before I did any cards, I kept seeing a pie, and I kept seeing somebody dividing the pie and splitting the pie into two, taking one piece of pie this way and the other piece of pie this way. And it wasn't an edible pie, it was a circle that was not broken, but it was being split in half. So perhaps some of you are literally splitting from something or someone, and you are separating. For some of you, this can signify a break in a relationship around work. For some of you, this can signify putting splitting your resources and putting some of the resources in this direction and some of your resources in this direction. There was a definite splitting or dividing of whatever the pie represents. Now, the round circle is solid, so to me it represents stability and something concrete or something solid. So for some of you, you might be splitting a concrete in half, like a literal concrete. But for most of you, this is dividing something that is a solid structure in your life, like work, like splitting your resources. Like I said, there is something around the career. Interestingly enough, I'm getting a vision of someone proposing to a person, and for some reason you're very excited, obviously, otherwise you shouldn't be proposing. But I feel whoever you're proposing to, there seems to be a sense of apprehension. So perhaps some of you are in a relationship where it's been quite some time and the next logical step is marriage, but it may actually not turn out that way. So obviously that's not going to apply to all of you. It's going to be very, very few of you. But that message is being shown to me very clearly, so I'm putting that out. So if that was the case, then it maybe would require you to split things or divide things in half, because if you are living together and, you know, if that is to be no longer, then for sure you are going to be moving in two separate directions. So the next card I have is a different deck, and it's called Spiritual Practice. This is all about finding time for yourself in a way that allows you to connect to your inner resource, your spirit, your guides, your energy, whatever you want, universal energy, whatever you want to call it. It is a time also, it is a message also of mindfulness. So perhaps as you go through some challenges here, what is being said here is that you need some kind of spiritual practice to keep you grounded and rooted. Very, very important. Particularly when we go through difficult situations. And listen, August is an interesting month because there is a lot of shifts in energy, and some energies will take stuff away that isn't supposed to be with us anymore, and the new things will be brought forward for you. So there is definitely an eclipsing out of situations from our lives, whether we like it or not. It is going to happen. So for those of you who are dealing with challenges in the next couple of weeks or next couple of months, what will root you and what will keep you grounded will be some kind of practice that you will call spiritual, whether it's meditation, whether it's praying, whether it's yoga practice, whether it's incense. There is incense here. Whether it's having a little altar in your own home with little statues, whatever it is that reminds you of your own inner power, your own inner source, that reminds you of your own inner spirit. They're saying it's a critical time for you to put that into practice. The next card you have is the card of belonging. So there's a lot of green here, but there's also a lot of red. So I look at colors. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but he clearly tells me to look at certain things. So what I feel here is that you might feel uprooted, and if you are dealing with relationship challenges or with work challenges, you may feel uprooted. And that's why the spiritual practice is going to help you become rooted again. The card is called Belonging. The green represents healing. It's a heart chakra color. Red is the color of root chakra, which is all about roots, stability, safety, feeling solidly grounded on earth. And this message is telling me that you might feel the sense of belonging is being addressed here. You may feel, what's the word, please? I'm trying to find the right word. You may misplaced or displaced. Thank you. You may feel a sense of displacement in the next little while. Could be because you're moving. Could be because your relationship is moving in a different direction. Could be because your work situation is not moving the way you want it to, and it's making you feel ungrounded. It could be any gazillion things that we are going through that's going to make you feel like you are displaced. The word displaced came to me, and when we feel displaced, we are certainly not rooted. So the message here is, one of the things I'm being shown here is make sure you watch out for your health, because I'm seeing certain symbol here that is reminding me to say this. Some of you Also, please pay attention to your body. Some of you may be under a lot of stress, and you may be under a lot of medication, or for those of you who are taking medication, I'm being asked to please take care of your body, because you may notice that your body is becoming very acidic. Medication can, as you know, deplete gut flora, and that can cause digestive problems. Acidic body is prone to, you know, getting sick and all that stuff. You guys understand. So, but particularly because there seems to be some stress factors, and you may have had some stress factors for a while, please pay attention to your gut and to your diet, as in the way you nourish your body, in order to support it while you're going through these transitions. So now let's move on to the sign of Aquarius. Hello, Aquarius. When I was connecting with your energy, I heard swift movement. So that's a good thing. Swift movement was always great. Sometimes things move a little bit too fast for us, which can make us feel a little bit ungrounded. But let's go with the cards. So the first card you have is Three of Cups. This is a card of rejoice and celebration. Well, that's what the card says. It is a card of people coming together, whether it's wedding, whether it's parties, whether it's birthday, whether it's celebrating somebody's birth, whether it's celebrating somebody's engagement, whatever it is. For some of you, you may participate in those festivities over the next few weeks and couple of months. The other meaning of the card is, or the other message I get about this card is, people coming together for a common goal. So this may be a situation where you move forward with a career, or in your career, and you become partners, or you form partnerships that are aligned by, that are connected by mutual understanding, a mutual vision, a mutual goal, and there is money connected to this. So this is going to be for some of you. The next card you have is the card of destiny, which is the card of Wheel of Fortune. It's a card of luck. It's also a card of completion in a positive way, coming full circle. So in many ways, this is, well, luck is definitely a time and a reason to celebrate. That's for sure. It also says that you are ready to move forward towards the next phase of your life. For some of you, this is regarding a relationship. So you may be meeting someone in a group or in some kind of a social setting that then will become your mate or your significant other. They're showing me that when it comes to your emotional well-being within a relationship, you have done a lot of healing. So many may, and that's why this is coming forward to say you've done a lot of emotional healing, you have worked on yourself. For some of you, it's because you have broken up with a significant other, divorce, loss, whatever, but you have been working diligently on yourself in order to prepare yourself for the next phase of your life, and it's coming. This signifies you coming full circle. You are at 10. We start with 0. 10 is followed by number 1, which is brand new beginnings. And that's why I feel I heard them say to me, swift movement. So career. So for many of you, this is going to be career possibilities. Some of you have left your old jobs, or are in the process of leaving something that is dissatisfying, and you will commit yourself to other projects or other people or other circumstances. This could be why there's happiness here and celebration, that is more aligned with who you are. Some of you are going to be untying yourself from certain situations in order to move forward with something better, and whatever or whoever you are tied to is not allowing you to be the best version of yourself. So there's a component of letting go of something or someone in order to start something new. I literally heard winning lottery. So looks like maybe one person might win lottery, or maybe few of you will win not a huge substantial number of money, but there will be a winning ticket for some kind of lottery. It may not be 649, it may be some other form of lottery. I'm seeing someone at a slot machine, and the message is be careful of spending too much money. So even though you have the luck card, and that can signify winning a fortune and certainly a good luck, if you're someone who's into gambling, just I'm hearing be mindful of your spending. Okay, the next card you have is a card of enlightenment. So a beautiful card here, and what this is saying here to you, what the message says is, as you move forward on your journey, don't forget who you are. And some of you may be stepping up a career ladder, and you might be promoted to a substantial position. Always make sure that you are connected to your own spirit. Always make sure that your root or your crown chakra is functional and open, so that you are always connected to the universe and the universal energies to help you create. And I'm saying this because the card came in reverse. So this is telling me is that, count your blessings, and good luck and good fortune is upon you, but through the process of expansion and growth, don't forget who you are. And part of me wants to say, don't let your ego get the best of you. Always remain balanced. As you see, there's a lot of purple. Purple is a high vibration color. For some of you, particularly ladies, this can signify wearing a amethyst stone, and that's the message that's coming to me. So for those of you who have amethyst ring or amethyst, you know what this is, necklace, it would be a very good stone for you to wear always, but particularly over the next few weeks and the next couple of months, particularly because of the transition. Now, I wouldn't necessarily think of amethyst as a grounding stone, but they're asking me to say that it can help and ground you. Interesting. I also heard the word, I also heard citrine. So citrine is yellow for the most part. It connects to the solar plexus. Citrine, I believe, is also helps with manifesting money and abundance. So if you are making some changes around your career, you may choose to wear the stone citrine in your jewelry, or even if it's just a tumbled citrine stone in your pocket, to help you with your power or with your confidence as you move forward through to the next phase of your life. And again, the message is, don't forget who you are. So for some of you, you're going quite high, or you are going to places, which is fantastic. And through that process, always remain humble and always remain connected to your soul. So now let's move on to Pisces. Hello Pisces, this is going to be your message. I have 3 cards for you. When I was shuffling the cards and asking Spirit for messages for you, I saw very distinctly somebody paying out money. So some of you, in the month of September in particular, so between now and end of September, will be paying out cash, or this could be a form of payment, you needing to pay out some debt. You will be able to pay out some debt, getting rid of debt, buying something, perhaps something substantial. The money was coming from you or was leaving you, not necessarily because it's a bad thing, but there's always, inflow and outflow. You are paying money out to something, some cause, or someone. This could be a purchase that you are making, and this would be more of a substantial purchase. This could be a purchase of property. This could be purchase of a car, major appliance, could be a purchase of a pet. Anything that is a little bit out of the ordinary or out of the norm is being shown to me. I'm also seeing the number 7, which signifies, number 7, but also July. So perhaps the paying out money is somehow connected to the month of July, or the number 7 is somehow significant to you. Some of you may be paying off a visa or a large bill that has been accumulating for quite some time. So that's what I saw for some of you. The card that you have that came up is Major Arcana of the card called the Moon. Right away, even though it's a card number 18, he's asking me to add the numbers together, which represents the number 9. In my vocabulary, it is a time of endings. So this says to me that you might be looking into your shadows, things that may seem to be scary, things that are hidden, the subconscious part of you, looking into your fears, looking at things that have been put aside, particularly belief systems, because this is Major Arcana, so this is aspects of you. This is also a card of illusion, meaning looking at things that are not really there, looking at things that have in the past prevented you from seeing things clearly. This is particularly a message with regards to letting go of past attachments with regards to childhood trauma. So particularly around relationships, I am being asked to say. So because the number 9 is being shown to me, because we are ending a lot of cycles, we are coming into a culmination of sort, things are coming to an end, we're tying things up, we're getting ready to move on to the new with a brand new energy. The 21st of August eclipse is particularly, I believe, important because it eclipses things out of our lives. So I'm being the word I hear with this card is fears, facing your fears, looking at things that truly are important and things that truly matter, but things that you have avoided before, aspects of you that you have avoided dealing with, any inner conflict that you have put aside or shoved aside because it was uncomfortable to deal with. This seems to be coming up for you for the next little while, because we are eclipsing some things out, or because the universe is eclipsing things out from us. It can signify that you are letting go of aspects of you, the shadow aspect, the dark aspect, and we all have dark and light, the fearful aspect of you, particularly when it comes to your own confidence. You're going to be looking at this, and you're going to be looking at it squarely in the face and saying, okay, I'm going to deal with you now, which is fantastic. Some of you I keep hearing relationships. Some of you will be questioning matters around your relationships, and you might be uncovering things that have been hidden from you with regards to a particular relationship. This doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. This could be any relationship that is dear to your heart. This could be work relationship, this could be friendship, family, and obviously a relationship with a loved one as in romantic nature. The next card you have is the Seven of Pentacles, but it is shown to me in reverse. So this card indicates lack of future planning, perhaps a bit of stuckness, inability to move forward, inability to get yourself out of a hole, if I can say it that way. The sense of stuckness is being shown to me very clearly. At the same time, this card came up, which is called Divine Support, particularly around this time for you, as you are going through this major shift and a lot of aspects about you, or you are changing in many aspects. It may feel like the road is, emotionally speaking, a little bit bumpy. The one thing I'm being shown here is the orange, which is the second chakra, and the purple. Yes, there's yellow, and the purple, which is your crown chakra. So some of you might be identifying some challenges within yourself that are causing, or have been causing, challenges in your relationships. And I'm talking about the subconscious aspects, the aspects of ourselves that come from our deeply rooted past, that has been hidden in on a subconscious level, but that is affecting our well-being, how we behave, how we act, how we react, particularly with relationships. This card also is a message that says you are divinely guided and supported. You see, this Ganesha elephant is not standing still. He is moving forward. The way I look at it, from my angle, it is a forward movement. As he is moving forward, the sign of Om is right on top of him, and which is incidentally what I wear. A lot of you are asking what this sign means. Om is Sanskrit, I believe it's Sanskrit, for the sound of creation. It was the very first sound that was when the universe, I guess, was created. So this is also asking you to pay attention to the spiritual aspect of your journey and allow yourself to feel, acknowledge, and appreciate all the things that you have accomplish up until this point, because you are moving in a different direction and you are leaving things behind by choosing to look at aspects that were previously either hidden from you, or you were choosing not to deal with it because of some fear. What this also represents here is that you might want to adopt some spiritual practice in order to help you stay grounded and stay connected to your spiritual self, whether it be wearing an Om that will always remind you, whether it be wearing a cross, whatever connection you have to your own spirituality or faith. It does not matter what it is. It could be giraffe, if that's what reminds you of your own inner amazing being. Anything that will prove to be a reminder for you for the next little while will be very grounding in this next little while. I mean, it's always grounding, but particularly because we're changing and there seems to be a bit of a lack of focus. You need something to ground you. Again, I'm being asked to talk about the orange. Orange is the second chakra, which is all about safety, security, particularly within relationships and within community. If any of you have had any trust issues with regards to relationships, you may want to look at your childhood and see what you've learned about safety or feeling safe and secure within relationships, whether it was because you felt unsafe or you've witnessed someone feeling unsafe, whatever it is. I'm not going to go too much into it, but it's very much tied to this moon card, which is also our subconscious self. And I think that's all I have. I'm also just seeing the number 15. For some reason, number 15 is coming up. So maybe some of you are 15 years of something, 15 years ago. number 15, date specific, anything that's number 15, if that means something to you, that is showing up. So now let's move on to Virgo. This message is for Virgo. I actually have 4 cards that fell out, plus I have additional card from a different deck. So the very first card that came up is Ace of Wands, in reverse. To me, when I see this card, now it may be different things to people who actually read tarot cards properly. To me, this represents ending of something that one is passionately connected to. So this could be a relationship, this could be a job, this could be a career that one is passionately connected with. Anything that makes your soul sing, there seems to be something coming to an end. This card also signifies delays when it comes to starting a creative project or starting a creative endeavor. So it's either an end or delays in starting something creative. Traditionally, this card relates to work and career. It is a lot of it is about passion, but it can represent relationships. So that is what I'm seeing as the first card. The next card you have is Four of Pentacles, which is telling me that you are now in the process, or you will be in the process of starting to build a brand new foundation. When we start to build a brand new foundation, typically it's because we're coming to an end of something, or because the former foundation that we have always had is no longer proving to be adequate or no longer suffices. This particular gentleman is looking at a huge mountain, which to me, for my vocabulary and medium psychic way, represents a challenge, and this person is standing in front of it, facing it, meaning he is going towards it. There is no way around it. His body, the way it's conditioned and the way it's built, tells us that this person has had enough experiences in order to make this journey something that he or she will be able to tackle. When in this picture, it's he. So this picture represents that you have the strength in order to build the next part of your life, and it starts with building firmer and stronger foundations for yourself. Now, the next card is the card of first chakra, red, which symbolizes to me that whatever you are going through right now may be triggering your first chakra, which is your sense of stability and sheer survival. It more often than not, in my experience, connects to money, connects to finances, because in our 3D physical world, money represents survival and security. Of course, that's not it, but in our culture, money is considered security and obviously wealth, but also worth. So whatever you're going through right now, this could be an ending of a job, ending of a career, ending of doing something that you have been previously passionate about. It could also be an ending of a relationship or delay to getting a project started that you have been hoping to build or start. The next card you have is actually a financial card, which is really interesting with all these cards, and this represents changes. So financial and material changes. For some of you, this is a card of move. And yes, this is not traditionally what this card means, but like I said, I don't read card the traditional way. They're showing me there's movement. There's movement in energy, but there is also a physical move for some of you. I hear the word restaurant. I have no idea what that means. Perhaps some of you owned a restaurant, want to own a reustrant, and maybe you are working at a restaurant. There's restaurant came up, and I think that's the first time in my reading where the word restaurant came up. So there's definitely some changes when it comes to money, possessions, direction of direction in your life, and this would be an earth energy. Well, this is earth energy, so it is about the physical things. So direction in a relationship, direction of your finances, changes in direction of your career or work. That is being signified. I'm being asked to say, I see the number 9. So some of you are ending a certain way, ending either a job, again, relationship, or the way you are used to making money, or something around finances is ending. Now, I just got a bag of money was put on my desk, which signifies to me that you won't lose your money. Your money is not being taken away, but it can mean that your money will now come from different sources, and you may not know where that will come from yet, which will most likely than not cause a bit of worry or anxiousness. I also hear home, move home. Some of you might be moving home, which, well, home is our security. It's where we live. It's where we spend our time. It's where we are home. And that is very grounding. So if you are moving, or if you are needing to move, or life is pushing you in a direction, and part of that push is you needing to change where you live or where you physically reside with work or with your home, that it will certainly make you feel a little bit uprooted. The next card you have is a card from the Ganesha deck, and the message here is fulfillment. So you see a lot of the card is predominantly green and yellow, and yes, this purple flower, which I believe is lily, is on its head. This Ganesha is reading intently and focusing on knowledge. So what this is saying is that this is a time, or in the next little while, it is a time that is ripe for new conditions, particularly when it comes to self-fulfillment through knowledge, through education, through listening to other people, through getting information from other sources. So if we are talking about career, this could be that you are in the midst of changing a career and you will be going to school. For some of you, if you are changing your relationship, and your relationship status is going to be different, and that's why you're starting new and putting forth brand new foundations and structures, you may benefit from going to someone who can help you deal with the transition. Again, the number 9 signifies to me there is something in your life that is coming to an end. Yes, it's coming to an end. There's no point beating around the bush about this. And endings are often not the most enjoyable things. Sometimes they're great because we want them. Sometimes they're uncomfortable. And particularly when it comes to either job changes, career changes, those are actually things on top of the list of people, of emotions or circumstances in our lives that give us the highest anxiety. So this card also signifies that whatever you're going through may be a great time to seek knowledge of a counselor, a spiritual leader, spiritual teacher, self-help workshops, a community that will make you feel like you belong. Anything that will fill your heart and soul with hope, understanding, and the wisdom to move forward. It's being signified. Because it's all green, it also tells me that through the process of the education, acquiring information, or acquiring new wisdom, you will get a lot of healing, and a lot of doors will open up to you later on as a result. Okay, so that is the message for you. And now let's move on to, what are we on my list next? Now let's move on to the sign of Leo. Hello, beautiful Leos. This is going to be your reading. When I was shuffling the cards and asking for guidance from Spirit for you, I was asked to say, be patient, and they showed me a crossroad. So it sounds to me, like many of you are going to be faced with being at crossroads. Some of these situations may represent crossroad with regards to work. Some of these will be with regards to relationships. Health, yes, but I see that as a very, very, very minute point for maybe one or two of you. And this could be a health crisis for some of you where you need to choose a certain direction. So they said patience while they're going through a period of a crossroad being presented in front of them. So then I shuffled the card and two cards came out, and then I have two different decks, each card of each. Wonderful card, because the first card that comes up is positive movement forward. Now, this is a number 8. Leo to me signifies, Leo is very much connected with the number 8 for me. It also is the major arcana number 8, and it's also the strength. The fact that this card shows up as the message was being talked about, as far as being at crossroads, positive movement forward, it was like, yes, something is going well. At the same time, I do see that many of you will be moving away from something and moving on to something much better, much more auspicious is the word that comes up, and also much more fruitful for you. So the next card you have is Ace of Wands in reverse, and some other sign got this, so you might want to look at your other signs. This signifies to me changes in a job or a career. It also signifies changes in relationships. This also relates to delays regarding a career aspect, project, or something connected to work, finances, or work, anything that's financially connected, but also in relationships. So I do see that you are moving away from something as a result of something either being delayed or ending, but the move is in a positive direction. So even the way the cards came up, the way they were displayed to me like this. So I always look at different aspects. This card is moving away from, this card. So whatever is ending or whatever is delayed, you are moving away from it in a different direction, but the move is actually positive for you in the end. I am being shown that some of you, many of you actually, are coming to a conclusion of something, and then I hear the word major. So when I see certain symbols, I have my vocabulary with my guys, and they'll throw different things at different times, and that'll teach me different things in addition to what I already know. So when a circle is being shown to me and it's tied at the end, it tells me that many of you have come full circle and are, as a result, at the end or at a completion point in some aspect of your life. This completion point also represents being at crossroads, because when we move into the end of something, there is nowhere to go. Now we have to change direction. So for many of you, you may feel like you are directionless. You may feel like you don't know what the direction is. You may feel that as a result of coming into this completion, which may not be anything that you created, it could be something that somebody else has created, but it is clearly affecting you. Whatever that is, you may find yourself being directionless. At the same time, as I'm being reminded, they're saying this ushers a positive move. And for some of you, you need this push in order to propel you to move forward in a new direction, or for some of you in a very different direction. Again, this could be relationships. Some of you, it's job related. It could be health related for some of you, but again, that's going to be very few of you. The next card you have is the card of Ganesha deck, and it's Innocence. So this card talks about, you see how he's sitting, looks like on a mountain, and he's quite high facing the horizon, and he's able to see above the mountains, clear sky, where he can clearly see the world in front of him without obstructions. What this symbolizes is that you are in a place or in a position right now where the sun is behind him, which is a symbol that whatever he's looking at is illuminated or is divinely guided. That is how I'm feeling it. A lot of the colors here are very rich, which represents what you're going through right now, and where you have been for the last little while has certainly enriched you in many ways, and you will be able to use this going forward. This card, the message of this card is about, particularly if you're going through changes of jobs, changes in relationships, this is a card about getting to the essence of who you are, being true to yourself, knowing that you can't please everyone at every moment. That is impossible. The thing that you want to remember first and foremost is that you always have to stay true to yourself. So one of the things that's coming up here is that because something is not going the way you want it to, something you were passionately connected with or to, you are choosing to move forward in a different direction. And that is a good choice. And the message here is, remember who you are. Remember you have choices. And although these choices may not be clearly presented to you at this moment, they will reveal themselves in due time. And then I hear the word wait. So this is a time of contemplation. This is a time of self-analysis, but really this is a time for truly getting in touch with yourself and asking yourself, what do I want? Who do I want to be? How do I want to spend the rest part of my life in this particular aspect? So very good card. Then they asked me to take a different deck, so I did. And this particular card is a beautiful deck, and this is the Wisdom of Oracle deck. Many of you know it. I love this deck. And the card is called Orphaned. You'll notice that this is a fairly dark card, okay? There's various meanings to this card, but when I look at this card, it represents isolation. It represents one feeling isolated, like one doesn't belong, like one is no longer connected to that which used to be part of her or his life. So particularly if you're going, again, through any kind of changes in your work or relationship, it is important to remain true to yourself. And you may have been a part of a community, or you may have been a part of a group before where you felt confident, where you felt like you belonged, where you felt very rooted. But for whatever reason, could be as a result of this, you are no longer feeling that. I also hear the word disappointment. You may be feeling that people have disappointed you, or you are disappointed because of something not going your way, or something being delayed to the point where you're losing faith with regards to whatever that is. So this message says you're not alone, but you may feel isolated. Remember when the card talked about stay true to yourself. Know that you can't please everyone. Know that you can't please everyone all the time. It's impossible. Staying true to yourself and really becoming honest with yourself, in knowing who you are and what you want to do next, irrespective of what other people may want from you or need from you, particularly if those needs are different from your own. So this is a bit of a a message that says some of you might be going through a time where you're moving on to something greater for sure, but at the same time you're moving away from something, and that may make you feel slightly off balance, slightly blue, slightly off kilter, slightly disappointed, yes, but also alone. So be patient, as the message was, as you go through these transitions, and in the next few months all will reveal itself to you. And look at your yearly or 6-month projection and see how that fits in with your message. Okay, so now let's move on to the sign of Cancer. Hello, beautiful Cancers. This is your reading for this middle of the month. The first card you have is what did I have? Yes, sorry. When I was connecting with your energy, when I was asking Spirit to give me a message for you before the cards, I heard them say to me, have faith. Then a card came out of the deck, New Beginning. So many of you will be facing or have already faced a brand new beginning in your life. This brand new beginning will most likely relate to a relationship or a job. It could be health related, but again, I feel this is more connected with relationship or job. For some of you, it looks like you are making commitments to someone. So this would be a new commitment with regards to a brand new career change, job change. This could also be a commitment that you are making as far as working with a group of people or bringing on board someone who is going to help you in your journey in whatever aspect of your life. The card also signifies that you are ready to receive. You're ready to start to receive. So if you have been feeling shortchanged in the last little while, whether it's with work, finances, or in a relationship, if you have been feeling stuck, if you have been feeling like things are not going your way, this is a yes card. That's what they're asking me to say. I don't think that's what the card traditionally represents, but that is what they're asking me to say. This is a yes card. For some of you, it's about winning. So if you are going through some kind of a court case or a battle, or some kind of resolution is needing to be, it seems like it is going to go in your favor, or at least it's supposed to be yes to whatever the situation is. The next card, okay, hang on one second. They're saying here, don't forget to be yourself, particularly when it comes to relationships. So if you are starting a new job, and particularly because of the next card, if you are starting a new job, make sure that people get to know you for who you really are, not for who you want them to be, because that's number one, not sustainable, and number two, it's not going to make you feel happy in the long term, because it's just not a fit. Energetically, it's just not a fit, and it's going to come out, and it might come out as a disappointment on both ends, but also a resentment on your part. Also, if you are starting a brand new relationship, or if you are starting a brand new commitment, whether it is romantic or otherwise, or platonic, make sure that you remain true to yourself and also true to your word. So if you are starting something new, if someone is coming into your life, if you are starting, a new endeavor, make sure you start on the right foot. You want to make sure that people perceive you for who you are, and that you don't put on the proverbial mask, because that's going to be very difficult for you to sustain. So this message doesn't mean anything to me, although logically I understand it. But for some of you, this will indicate something that will hopefully make sense to you. The next card we have is the Hangman in reverse. So this card represents being a murder. I can't say the word, my English is my second language. So, particularly with this message here, if you are in a relationship or starting a new job, Again, same message. Don't be a murderer. Murder, M-Y-R-T-E-R. Murder, I think that's what it's called. Please forgive me. I always have trouble with that word. So that's really interesting because of the message that was said. This is also a message of a bit of a delay or indecision about something. So you might be indecisive, or you might be confused about what it is that you are beginning. So if you are in a brand new relationship, or if you are starting a new job or a new regimen, it might leave you feeling a little bit indecisive. You may not quite be sure if this is it. And it's also interesting because of all the other cards that follow. So some of you may have started a relationship a while ago where it's still under the category of brand new. And now you are wondering, is this for me? Is this where I want to go? Is this someone that I want to be with? Or is this the situation that is right for me? But the situation still is fairly new. So that's what the card represents. You might be questioning your motives being in this new relationship, or questioning your commitment to whatever you are starting or have started not that long ago. The next card you have is a card of Ganesha, which is, the card is called Drive. So this is about being decisive, driven, and full of direction, or not directionless. So this card is saying, if you are having a difficulty with deciding what to do, get down to the nitty-gritty, decide what is right for you, independent of what anybody wants for you, and hang on to that and become driven again. Change your focus, be single-minded, try not to be all over the place, as in, what do I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? This is a card about extreme focus and drive, as it indicates. One of the things that I just heard is, for those of you who are employing other people, I actually heard the words, don't be so hard on your employees. So if you have people who work for you, make sure you are not too hard on them. And that's not the typical meaning of this card, I don't think, but that is what I just heard. The other thing I'm hearing is that you are moving away from treacherous times or treacherous territory. And the mountains here represent that you are moving away from what was once very challenging. So some of you might be leaving a situation behind that has caused you the proverbial headache. And at the same time, what I see here is that he's wearing green, which indicates that there is emotional healing. And I almost see, I think, four-leaf clover, which indicates luck to me. The other thing that I see about this card is make sure that both your feminine and masculine aspects are at hand or are fully employed. And why do I say this? Because it's being given to me, but also one of these little animals is female, one is male, as it is because of the tiara on her head. So the female aspect is about receiving, and the male aspect is about doing. So male is aspect, female is about the nurture. Make sure that you are both, where you have equal footing with both aspects, or you are well balanced in anything that you do. The next card is pretty similar because it talks about being steadfast. And this is very much about a direction, a certain direction. If you are, again, in a situation where you are questioning whether you should be there, okay? If you are questioning your motives or somebody else's motives for being in a relationship with you, this could be work or this could be platonic. This is a time for you to focus on your drive, focus on your desire. And if you are in a relationship where you are half-hearted about it, do yourself a favor and either change your focus or change the relationship you are in. You have new beginnings, but this also suggests to me, from what I hear, that you may have started something fairly new not that long ago, but you are feeling a little bit off kilter. So that is the message that I see. I'm also seeing for you too, you are coming to a completion with something, or you are completing something, which may also signify this card moving away from the treacherous mountains, if you will. The movement is away from it. You may be leaving something behind. It could be a legal case. It could be a health condition where you are moving forward with a very determined focus that you are now moving on to a new direction and everything is going to be fine. This card also talks about you being resolute, and that's the word they're giving to me. So to me, when I hear this, it's, make sure you know what you want and then do it. Stand behind what you want, make the actions what you want, that are required in order for you to achieve this. Be resolute. Look up the word resolute, because I can't quite explain what that means. But it's also, because of the other card here, the feminine and masculine aspect, it's a time of doing, but it's a time of also receiving. So it's a give and take, a lot of give and take. And I think that's all I have for you. Now let's move on to the sign of Sagittarius. Thank you. Hello, beautiful Sagittarius. This is going to be your reading for the month of August and what is associated with the eclipses this month. When I was focusing my attention on you, I kept hearing self-confidence, as in acquiring more self-confidence, and the next little while being a time for inner balance, finding more inner balance, creating more inner balance, creating more harmony within, which will ultimately help you feel more confident. I also kept hearing speedy recovery. I saw a certain symbol in my mind that is associated with this, and actually that card as the symbol came out when it was time for me to do the cards. So that's always a double message, which has the meaning is that much more important. So one of the first cards you have is the Ace of Swords, triumphant success. The card, the way it landed, it kind of went this way. So it's not upright, it's not in reverse, it is slightly to the side, which tells me that in the month of August, and could be few weeks preceding that and few weeks after August, you may find yourself feeling a bit lopsided when it comes to either clarity in your mind or giving birth to some kind of new idea or some kind of new idea. I'm going to stick with that. So I'm just going to go with the other card. The next card you have is Eight of Wands, and that was shown to me in reverse. So these two cards, they were shown to me like this. It signifies to me that there's going to be perhaps slight delays in the way you want to proceed with something. For some of you, this is going to be delays around a move. This could be a move pertaining to a certain idea, or this could be a move pertaining to living situation, as in living somewhere else, move, in other words, because this card for me is associated with move. It may not be that way for everybody, but again, for those of you who don't know me, I don't read cards the traditional way. I don't know how. So because it's shown to me this way, and particularly because of what I was asked to say prior to proceeding with the cards, as you work towards gaining greater balance, as you work towards accepting more of yourself, and there's other cards that confirm this, as you work more towards achieving the inner equilibrium that has been missing for some of you, he says for many of you for quite some time, you may find that your ideas of how to proceed with certain things are going to either waver or change. Now, what I'm also being asked to say that this is not so much a time for action, which is interesting because typically Ace of Swords is a time of action. It is a raw power, it's clarity, it's also victory. And it doesn't say that you're not going to be victorious. It doesn't say that you won't have clarity. It just seems that over the next little while, because of what you are going through, and for some of you, what you are witnessing, whatever the witnessing may be in your environment, you may find yourself contemplating, evaluating, or re-evaluating certain things, where you live, where you want to live, how you want to proceed with your career, or what you want to do with regards to your career next. So for those of you who are contemplating a career change or a career move, you may find yourself having certain doubts perhaps about what you once thought was a great idea. Now, these doubts again don't signify that these ideas were not great, excuse me. The bigger picture is that it has to do with timing, I'm being asked. So apparently for you in particular, the 8 is shown to me sideways. So although it symbolizes infinity, in this case, it's telling me that some of you may not be feeling right now very confident or very empowered, which is perhaps that's why I was being asked to say that in the next few weeks, you are going to find yourself becoming much more comfortable with who you are as you work through your old dramas, your old unfinished business, old memories, old attachments, unhealthy behaviors, whatever it may be. Because again, we are leaving our past behind because of the eclipses, particularly the one on the 21st, and we are moving on to new horizons. And because the energy seems to be shifting right now, we may not be able to have clarity the way we want to. That's why this card is shown to me slightly in reverse, saying that there might be a bit of a delay with regards to what you are trying to accomplish. This could be career, like I said, this could be movement from home, away from home. This could be changes around relationships, but I don't see anything negative here. As a matter of fact, I see a train, and the train is at the station, revving up, ready. The engines are ready to go, and it's just waiting for the last passengers to hop on so you can start moving. So it sounds to me like you are about to start a movement, but there's a bit of a delay with this, and this will apply to many of you in various different ways. The next card you have is from my Ganesha deck, and it's interesting because the two cards that I pulled are pretty much the same thing. The first card you have is childlike expression. So this is about getting back to the innocence of a child, not childish, but childlike exuberance, whatever that means. Seeing yourself through the eyes of your innocence as opposed to through the eyes of the pain that we all go through. It also means, this card also signifies how you see this elephant playing, being more childlike in the way you express yourself and the way you express your individuality. Some of you have been holding yourself back because of judgments, hence why confidence came up, because of ridicule, because of punishments in the past, and for whatever reason, you are holding yourself back from expressing your individuality to the fullest. So this is a bit of a reminder that as you move through this energetic shift, it would be good for you to recognize those aspects of you, the inner child, if you will, that has been wounded in the past, and allow that inner child to come forward so it can gain confidence and then allow himself or herself to play without judgment. So an example of that, of an inner child aspect would be, and this is just pure example, let's say when you were quite young, you had parents or a parent who was very judgmental, who was very verbally or mentally and emotionally abusive. And through the years of growing up, you have felt very judged, which has made you feel over time feeling very small. So that's the aspect I'm talking about. And we all have inner child that's wounded. That's just part of our path in this lifetime. But as you go through these shifts, apparently this aspect of you will come out, or you are being asked, you are being guided to nurture that part of you that has been wounded. If you want to look up inner child work, it's actually a therapeutic term. I use it in my therapy with clients. It's extraordinarily helpful and extremely powerful working with it as far as releasing past trauma and past pain. The next card you have is nurture. So you've got inner child and you've got nurture, or childlike expression and nurture. Those two are pretty much the same, except there is a slight difference. With this card, what this is saying is that you may have had the tendency to spend a lot of focus and energy on others while forgetting yourself in the process. So if you are still someone who gives at the detriment of yourself, you are being asked to let go of the necessity to please others in order to gain acceptance or approval. A lot of us do it subconsciously. It is something we have learned as we were growing up because of whatever circumstances we were, thrown into, if you will. But if you recognize that pattern, you will then be able to stop the corresponding behavior that is stemming from a certain emotion. And for some of you, it's the need for approval. Therefore, many of us become very needy, yes, but also we overcompensate by giving. We give too much, and then we end up being resentful because we always put ourselves in the back. So remember what I said at the very beginning, the next little while is all about coming to equilibrium and all about coming to a more of a balanced way, more of a balanced place within yourself, so that you can gain a certain perspective, start nurturing your own inner self while you help others, but with certain state of balance in mind. And I think that's all I have. So let's move on to the next sign of Capricorn. Hello Capricorns, this is actually a very beautiful reading for you. I was smiling when I was hearing messages from Spirit, and then the cards came out and I was like, yes. So when I was shuffling the cards and asking for channeled message, I kept seeing that you need to focus and be very determined on a certain desire that you are looking to achieve, or a certain outcome you are looking to create. The other message was you have to have an unwavering belief that it is going to come to you in its due time and in a certain manner. So the message is very clear. Be very focused on what you want. So number one, identify what you want. And most importantly, and most people don't realize this, focus on the emotion you are trying to gain. Every single experience that we are looking to create, or basically every single thing that we want to acquire, has an emotion connected to it. So whether it be success, whether it be love, whether it be acceptance, whether it be gazillion other things that I could mention, it is really important for you to focus on what is the emotion that is underneath your chosen destination. So for example, if you are really wanting to create this wonderful business opportunity, what is the emotion that you are after? Is it sense of belonging? Is it fulfillment? Is it being able to be absolutely content with working with your passions? There's various different emotions, but the key here is that once we identify the emotion, then we need to stay focused on achieving it and knowing that it is, and believing without any doubt that it is going to come to you in its own time. So that's what I heard. Yeah, unwavering belief, extremely important. Then I heard all systems go. And I thought, well, that's an interesting phrase that they gave me, but that's pretty self-explanatory. And so I wrote it down. And then once I went through the card, then it occurred to me, now I understand why I got this statement or the phrase, all systems go. And I will get to that in just a second. So the first card you have is Three of Pentacles. This is traditionally a card of recognition, I believe. It actually says recognition and reward. 3 is a number of expansion. So, and this is my message regarding this card. I don't read cards traditional way. So some of you, yes, will be rewarded for your hard work when it comes to your career, when it comes to relationships. There are some rewards, financial or otherwise, coming to you. The number 3 to me connects with expansion. Because this is an earth card, or this is an earth energy, it tells me that you are expanding, or you are in a process of expansion when it comes to the physical aspect of who you are. So you might be expanding a family, you might be expanding a home, you might be moving to a home that is bigger, your job may be expanding. It also talks about collaborations with different people, and it also talks about gaining knowledge or acquiring information. So there's definitely, I hear the word publicity. So maybe for some of you, you work in a public arena and you're going to gain publicity, or you're going to be rewarded publicly. It can also signify that some of you will be distinguished in a group-like setting where it's going to be in front of others. So the recognition is definitely something to look forward to. The recognition part can also, in this particular reading, signify that finally you are being recognized or validated for something that you have been doing. Now, this may come from an employer, this may come from a friend, this can be, thank you, a long overdue appreciation from someone that you were working with at some point, partnered with at some point, or you were somehow associated with a person. So I'm hearing it's delayed. So for some of you, you may be receiving accolades for job well done, but the job was quite a while ago. And for some of you, you may receive it, but it's like, it's too little too late. Nonetheless, the acknowledgement of you, who you are, and your work is there. So accept it and then move forward. The next card you have is a card of victory and success. Because the card was shown to me like this, it shows to me that you will feel very victorious and successful. You will feel very celebratory with regards to whatever it is that you are being recognized for. This may also signify for some of you who are looking at forming relationships, as in if you're single and you are dating, you may start to be recognized by meeting people who will say, wow, you're an amazing individual. How on earth are you single? And it's going to, will obviously feel really good. So that is, that's a lot of the information that I'm getting regarding these cards. Was there anything else? Yeah, the biggest thing here is, because I saw you and I saw you looking at a star and saying, that's where I want to go. So the intention around this time is very important. The focus on the intention is also very important. Your ability in order to create your intention is locked in your ability to feel it and trust it and have unwavering belief in it. Basically, know that it'll happen and it'll happen. The next card you have is Ganesha card, Spiritual Quest. Sorry, I'm going too fast here. I'm trying to get all these done for you. This basically says to me that this is a time of spiritual growth. This is a time where you will be divinely guided or guided by your intuition in the next phase of your life. So whether you are being intuitively guided regarding work, regarding career work, regarding a certain move in a certain direction of your life, whether you will be guided to make certain decisions or create certain partnerships or accept certain partnerships or end certain partnerships, you are very much guided intuitively. So spirit is guiding you. The reason why what I'm also seeing here is that there is a lot of inner peace and balance with this message. And the umbrella here signifies, and it's also red, which is interesting because red is the root chakra, which is all about safety and stability and security. The umbrella here signifies that you are protected and therefore you are going to be safe as you are moving forward on your journey. Some of you are moving away from something or moving on from something that is no longer serving you, and you are solely relying on your inner guidance more so than your logic. And if that's the case, I want to say bravo to you, because it's not always an easy thing to do, particularly when people don't understand where you are going. Let me just see what else I get. I know there's something else I'm supposed to get from this. Okay, I'm supposed to look at the surroundings. Okay, so the surroundings in this card, as you see, the background it looks almost like it's hazy. There's not, it's not very crisp and clear. And when he asked me to look at the surroundings, at the background, it tells me that you might be moving. The time here right now might feel a little bit foggy. It may feel like you're not quite sure where you're going, but you are certainly sure that whatever is guiding you in a certain direction is so strong that you can't deny it. It is also why you have been asked to have an unwavering belief in whatever you are trying to create. I also hear the words step out of the way. So many of us want to create something, we visualize something, we have an idea, we put our intentions out, we imagine it in our meditations, and we feel the emotion, because it's the emotion that actually creates the experience. The thought alone doesn't count. It has to have a corresponding emotion. But at a certain point, we basically have to trust that whatever we're doing is going to be enough, and we have to step out of the way and let the universe deliver it to us in the way and in a form that it feels is most appropriate for us. And we don't always, actually I'm going to say we almost always never know what that is, because we have certain ideas the way we want it to present, the way we want things to be presented to us. The next card you have is Blessings. So this card basically says, get out of the way. This is a time, excuse me, where you have the ability to manifest a lot of things, but you have to be able to trust. You have to be able to again, have the unwavering belief and let go of the outcome as far as when and how. Somebody told me not that long ago that the when and how is up to the universe and it's none of our business. Our business is to clarify to ourselves what it is that we want, and the how and the when is up to the universe, because the universe knows what is best for us at any given time. So they're saying to me this is an auspicious time for creativity, and therefore it is also the perfect time to work on your realizations, or also work on your intentions. So if you're walking through a bit of a fog here, where you're being guided by something bigger than you're just trusting what it is, maybe create a vision board. Maybe create a list of the things that you want. Make sure that you are honest and conscious of the emotion that you are after. Remember, each experience has a corresponding emotion. We want an experience because it'll give us a certain emotion. Make sure you identify what that is, because based on that emotion, the universe will know what to give to you and when to give to you. So this is a time of completion for you, which is also meaning that in the next little while, it's a time of creativity and time of new beginnings. So stay strong, be mindful of who you are. That's what I'm being asked to say, and thank you. Never forget that you are a creator, and just like a painter, starting a painting on a blank canvas creates a work of art. In the same way, you can create your reality by choosing which paint or which emotion to focus on. So I'm going to leave you with that, and we'll move on to the next sign of Scorpio. Hello, beautiful Scorpios. When I was shuffling the cards, one of the things that I was seeing for you was a crystal. And the more I tuned into that vision, it was a pink quartz crystal. So for some of you, perhaps not for all of you, you may have jewelry with pink quartz, or you have a stone. I have them everywhere. Pink quartz is associated with love, particularly with self-love, self-nurture, but also with love in general. So if you are into this sort of thing, if you have been contemplating getting a quartz, pink quartz in particular, or for some of it's aquamarine, I don't know why, but they just said aquamarine, and that's for speaking up, which is also associated with self-love. So if you have been contemplating, thinking about, a thought came through to you, you've had intuitive feeling to get a crystal, particularly pink quartz or aquamarine, you might want to get yourself one. If you already have it, either wear it, put it in your pocket, put it in your purse, or if you have it in a piece of jewelry, perhaps carry that with you, or wear it with you, on you for the next little while. I also hear the word appreciation. So for some of you, the message is be appreciative of other people's actions towards you. And perhaps some of you have a tendency to be a little bit dismissive because of whatever is going on. And for some of you, it's about appreciating yourself more. So pink quartz, like I said, it's a stone that is associated with love. It's not just a romantic kind of love. That too, yes, but it's also, and probably most importantly, about self-love, love towards self, because when we are loving towards ourselves, we then attract a corresponding a corresponding energy. So the first card you have is Ace of Swords. This is ideas. This is, as it says, triumphant success. This is moving forward with plans. It's an action associated card. There is movement with this card. However, the movement is associated with the beginning of whatever you are trying to accomplish. So for some of you, you may have a birth or an influx of new ideas pertaining to business. I am seeing writing. Some of you might be starting a writing project. You might be starting a book, blog. I hear the word television. So writing in whatever form is coming up for some of you. You either are prompted to write or you are going to write something. And for some of you, this could be a script. There was something I was seeing. Songs. Some of you are going to be writing songs or something about writing songs. So the writing component is for some of you, not for all of you. Some of you will be prompted or tempted to start a brand new project. Some of you have finished a project or just about to finish a project and you are about to start a brand new project. They keep saying the words be mindful, be mindful, be mindful. Be mindful of what? Be mindful of the direction you're taking. Why is that? So some of you may have ideas that are grand and that are fantastic. What I'm hearing is do whatever is needed or do your due diligence before you proceed further with the work that is required pertaining to whatever this action is. So it's not saying it's a bad thing, but for some of you, it is an enormous task that you are going to be starting or a project. And you need to be mindful what is associated with it in order to put all your ducks in a row or to be prepared, particularly financially for some of you, with whatever this is. The next card you have is Eight of Cups. So, but there's a couple of things I want to say. It came together with Six of Pentacles. So I'm going to say the message as I see those two combined. This message, the combination of the cards, the message I got was you are moving away from something that was not working out, particularly financially. You may be moving away from, you may be moving away from a period of stagnation when it comes to your work, when it comes to finances, when it comes to earning money, when it comes to not having ideas. You are moving, it's a time for you to move away from it, or you are in a process of moving away from that. The individual card messages is you are leaving something behind. This card does say emotional withdrawal, so you may have a tendency to be an individual who prefers to be indoors or prefers to be by himself or herself rather than being social. And I hear the word antisocial. So maybe for some of you, you have become antisocial. Maybe for some of you, you have become a bit of a recluse. Maybe some of you are just withdrawing emotionally because you have been going through a lot of time, particularly stagnation. So whenever we are stagnant, things are just, they're kind of stuck. But you're moving away from that, particularly because there's brand new energy when it comes to thoughts, ideas. So there is a movement. This card by itself symbolizes selfishness for some. It also symbolizes financial insecurity, debt. So you may have difficulty because you have been experiencing financial debt or something that is financially connected, and that's been keeping you stuck. But more than anything, I feel the combination of these two is the message that resonates for you than for the most part for you than the other messages, and that is that you are moving away from financial struggles, from financial depression, from financial insecurity. you're moving away from that. The next card you have is perfect because it touches exactly on that message. And the card is called Blessings. So this card is all about the energy being ripe and ready for you to receive. This is an energy of manifestation. This is an energy of accomplishment. This is an energy of harvesting. This is also an energy that is fantastic for starting new projects because they're more likely to end up working out in your favor. But this is also a time to remind you that because the energy is so ripe, and basically, I'm not going to say that it manifests very quickly because time is, the whole idea of time and manifestation, we always get bogged down with that. But I will say that there is a possibility that things are going to manifest for you very quickly. And that's actually because you've been working on it for quite some time, and now the energy is ready for you to give it to you. At the same time, it is a bit of a message to make sure that you focus your attention and your energy only on those things that you are wanting to achieve and accomplish. So in other words, if you have a tendency to focus on the negative, if you have a tendency to focus on the drama in your life, this is an energy that doesn't care where it's going. If you're going to focus it in that direction, that's what it's going to give you. So it'll give you one way or it'll give you another way, depending on where you focus your energy. And remember, wherever you put your focus, wherever you put your attention, this is where the energy goes. And wherever the energy goes, it creates more of the same. So, in other words, stay positive through this time. Stay mindful that you can pretty much create anything you want. That is what I'm being asked to say. And I don't want to validate or whatever. That's what I'm hearing. So they're saying the accomplishments are yours if you want it. So because the way it was said to me, it just basically means be mindful where you sent your energy. Now, the next card is a different card from a different deck. I was prompted to get a different deck. And the card is called Yang, which is the male energy or the masculine aspect of who we are. And it is showing to me in reverse. This card in reverse, by the way, for those of you who don't know, it's the Wisdom of the Oracle. Love these cards. This energy, this message of this card talks about being mindful about impulsivity. So because you're starting something new, because you have lots of ideas, and this is a time for starting brand new projects and starting new, it's a very intense energy. It's also a very sharp energy. You are being asked to pay attention so that you don't come across as being too impulsive, too rigid. The message is also think before you speak, because of the energy that is associated with it, with whatever's going on around you. There might be a tendency for you to step over other people in order to get what you want, and you certainly don't want to do that. So because there's a lot of masculine energy associated with this, and the energy is very edgy, be mindful of your words, be mindful of your actions, and most importantly, think before you speak, because words can cause a lot of damage. And once a word is out, there is no way in getting it back. So always think before you act. And I think that's what I have for you. Very sharp energy. So like a sharp knife, use it wisely. Now let's move on to the next sign of Libra. Hello, beautiful Libra. This is going to be your reading. It's interesting. When I was focusing on your energy and shuffling cards, the first message that was shown to me was for you to have patience. And I thought, well, I hear that often. I actually haven't, in the mid-month, you're the first one, I believe, that I was clearly asked to say, be patient. And the reason around this is because some of you, perhaps many of you, are coming to a place of conclusion. However, I also hear you're not finished yet. So let's just move on with the cards. One of the first cards that came, which was the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. I was prompted to take a card from that deck. The card is called Poised, but it is coming in the protection position, or as Colette calls it, protection. And basically what this card signifies is that you may be in a time or a situation at this point, or about to, where you may not feel very confident with regards to where you are at this time. This is also a message indicating that although you are coming to an end of a cycle, although you are about to complete something, your ability to move forward onto something else is not ripe yet. In other words, this isn't a time to move forward. It's not a time to start something new. This is a bit of a time of being able to digest what is happening without judgments or without fear. And that can be sometimes very challenging when we are stuck in a situation. There's something else. Thank you. When you are stuck in a situation that doesn't feel good, or is not working out for you. The other thing I kept seeing was this ginormous hook. When I was first connecting with your energy, whenever I see certain symbols, they mean certain things, depending on who I'm talking to or which reading I give. But in this situation, it showed me that you are hooked onto something, or you are stuck in some place, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, or all of the above. And when we are hooked, we are unable to move. So when we hook something, we often feel we lose control or have no control. So if you are feeling stuck in a certain place, if you are contemplating making decisions, I hear for you, if it makes sense, the best option at this point, at least for the next little while, is to maneuver the best you can through the emotional battle, if you will, and something will present itself to you in the near future. An idea will come up. Basically, I'm hearing you're not ready to move yet. So again, even though I was seeing a completion, there is that little piece that is still remaining for you to do, if you will, in order to move forward onto something better, something different. This could be work. This would be career work. This could be a relationship. This could be health, though not for too many of you. Could be a health situation. This could be, friendships, something where you feel you are hooked or you are stuck and you are unable to move. The next card you have, and that's why you're being asked to have patience. The next card you have is the Nine of Wands. This basically, it says spiritual strength. 9 is number of endings. How appropriate based on what was just said. So again, similar message that you are in your life, wherever you are experiencing a time where you might feel like you are being tested. You have the strength to go through this. You have the ability to be able to endure this. But it might be a time where you are feeling like your confidence is taking a beating, or you're being tested, plain and simple. The reason why this is coming up is because of this message. This is the moon, or the shadow in this deck. The moon is all about an illusion. It's about fears, and it's about anxiety. It is also connected to the subconscious part of who we are, or our shadows. So this is the reason why you're going through this, is because there is some unfinished business from your past. For many of you, this is going to be childhood, or your early teenage years for some of you, where you have experienced something, and I hear the words being put down, where that you might have been bullied, you might have been put down by your parents or those who have raised you, you might have been ridiculed, you might have been gazillion other things that we go through that has, for some of you, you might have been beaten up, because I see somebody being beaten up, and this is in grade school or in high school, but I want to go somewhere middle school, grade school, middle school, and you may have gotten a beating. Okay, the beating could have been emotional, mental, physical, certainly spiritual. And for those of you who this message connects, you have never fully recovered. And the reason why this is coming up right now is because it's like an old wound that needs to come up to surface, that needs to be exposed in order for it to be healed. So this message basically says is you are going to be facing some fears. You may have already started facing some fears. Some of you may be stuck in a situation at work in particular where you feel you are being taken advantage of. You are being unappreciated. Now, when I say being taken advantage of, obviously, if there is harm coming to you, nobody's asking you to stay. You have to, report it to appropriate authorities depending on what's going on. But the card says, and hopefully it's not, it's not going to be anything physical for you, but emotional and mental is probably just as bad. It's probably even worse. Point is, if there is something really terrible happening to you, nobody's asking you to stay. You have to obviously get out. But that's not going to be majority of you. That's going to be some of you. For the majority of you, you are in a position where you might feel that you feel helpless. Just like you have felt when you were young. You may feel undervalued or underappreciated, just like you felt when you were young. So if you were bullied, clearly that did not raise your confidence. If anything, it would have plummeted your confidence, and then you would have kind of buried it in your subconscious, or hopefully some of you have worked through this. I have gone through this, plus other things, and it absolutely has affected me tremendously. So it's, part of my path is to be able to connect with my power once again after it was taken away from me. So that's why I love empowering people, which is what I do here. So definitely a time of letting go of old wounds, fears coming up to surface, and anxieties around fears, and ultimately letting go. The next card is the card of acceptance. So this card signifies that as you let go of the old, do so in a manner that does not create attachments through blame. So in other words, letting go by accepting what has transpired, but not holding onto resentment, anger, pain, retribution, whatever is that we always do. We all do it. It's normal human behavior. Letting it go, and perhaps, and this is a big message, and I know many of you may not actually like what I'm going to say, but here it is. Seeing that situation from the past and seeing how it has enriched you, how it has changed you from the positive aspect. And there's always a positive aspect. And I'll give you just one example. For example, with me, I was bullied quite a bit when I was younger, plus I was going through some other stuff with family. But anyway, what it has given me from the positive aspect is that I understand the pain that is associated with rejection, disapproval, dismissal, and being emotionally, mentally, and physically damaged. And now when I say damaged, that's in quotation marks. And therefore, when I see an individual and when they start telling me a story, I get them. I understand it without that experience, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, not having an understanding of how I felt, therefore having an understanding how my clients feels. So that is an example of looking at my experience and extracting a positive from it, which allows me to get away from holding on to the negative. So that's what I'm going to say. If you're going through something right now, and it sounds like you're about to move forward with something new, but I feel like there's just a little bit of time left before you completely let it go. Also, one of the messages in this card is this is not a time for the proverbial make it till you fake it. This is a time about being honest with yourself and truly looking at the aspects of you that are wounded in order to not only appreciate what's being triggered, but most importantly, to let go that which no longer serves you. Now remember, the eclipses, particularly the one on the 21st of August, is a huge one with regards to eclipsing things from our lives that no longer serve us. And this very well be one of those situations where you're in an environment that doesn't serve you, and part of letting go of that environment, or how you connect to it, is accepting what has happened by dealing with it and leaving it in the past and extracting the positives that has come from it in order to strengthen you. And that's all I have for you. So good luck.